Doryu, I'd like to have you read your section now, please.
Can I say a few words before?
Yes.
First of all, I have to say how much honored I am and how much surprised I am to be here, sitting on this chair. Because maybe I skipped the mail, I didn't see the mail, so I didn't know I have to talk tonight. And the night before leaving for USA from Rome, I was, okay, let's give a last look to the schedule of the weekend. And I saw my photo on it to say, oh, there is my photo of me. So, oh, I have to talk. Oh, wow, okay. So I'm here, I not prepare anything, but anyway. My intervention of the book is a very brief writing about something that happened last summer. I was walking with my dogs along the banks of the Tevere River in Rome, and I found a little mouse, a mice that was dying. And it was in the fierce sun of Rome, and it was thirsty. So I gave a few drops of water that I had in a bottle for my dogs. And I felt so proud of this, my act of big generosity, and just right after that I feel so ashamed of my pride. On my way back, the mouse is still there, now dead. Its little body has already turned into a home and food for tiny worms, and ants are about to take its various parts to their underground dwellings to feed themselves and their larvae. I stand looking at it, and I realize that it has become the brighter than any living things. It is the essence of love and pure generosity. Abandoned on the river bank, it generously leaves its body to animals and insects. It will be exposed uncomplainingly to the sun, the hot wind, and the rain, donating to the heart its bone, its skin, and its fluids. Nothing will remain that is not a gift. This is Dana Paramita in its pure essence. Dogen say it is like offering treasure we are about to discard to those we do not know. I understand how much ego, discrimination, judgment, and prejudice there are in our action of generosity, even those we regard as the purest and most selfless. No gift is too small, but our effort should be genuine, Dogen says. How can we be genuine in our giving? The purest generosity, the kind of that plants, trees, animals, mountains, and rivers have in their unconditional giving of themselves. The perpetual gift that the sky, the sun, the fog, the mountains offer is beyond our reach.
Thank you. So beautiful. Thank you. It's a really interesting story pulled from the daily life of the city. Yeah, this is something, again, you live through your own experience, and with other beings, not necessarily with human beings. The only other human being is up here in the situation. I particularly like, that was one of the quotes that I had here to talk to you about. And there was another quote that I really loved, and it goes like this. It said, "The purest generosity does not belong to us." The purest generosity does not belong to us.
Yes, so it's something that is the core of my life. Because I think that unless we are humans, we are not pure in our action. There is a Rinzai teacher, Daito Kokushi, who writes an exhortation to his monks, and he say, "Don't worry, unless you have a body, you have clothes to wear. And it seems like something that is comfortable, but what he's actually saying is that unless we have a body and mind, we have ego, and we have discrimination, and we have aversion, and we have desires, and we have karma. This is something we have to deal with. We will not have the purest, never the purest generosity. Sometimes I wonder, and what I'm doing in my center as Dharma teacher, and I say, how ambitious am I in what I'm doing? Oh, and will never be pure. But I think it is something we have to deal towards our life. We will be pure in our giving when we die.
Doryu, you also do a lot of interfaith work, right? And, I was curious in this book, there's a quote that says, there's nothing I can do for it, meaning the piccolo mouse, right? Piccolini mouse. There's nothing I can do for it but recite the taking of refuge as a viaticum for a good transformation. So you're really mixing metaphors there, mixing things from the Catholic tradition of viaticum, right? With the Buddhists. Can you talk a little bit about how that little intersection there for you?
Yes, of course. I was not born as a Buddhist. I was born and raised a Christian Catholic. My mother was a very devotee Christian Catholic, and I was born and raised a Catholic. I have the First Communion, the Cresima, and all this stuff. I turned to Buddhism not because I had some particular issue about my previous religious background, but simply because when I met Buddhism, I felt more uncomfortable. But I don't deny, I don't regret my previous Christian background. It's part of my being Buddhist. I'm 100% Buddhist now, but my being Buddhist comes from my being Christian. When yes, I do. We with my wife, with Yugetsu, we do join a lot of interfaith group, and I say, but the first interfaith dialogue is inside myself. It's inside myself because I cannot throw out my previous background. Sometimes people will say, but you believe in God or you don't believe in God? And I say, I cannot answer this question. There is a quote from a Rinzai teacher who said, God does not exist, but it's always with us. That's perfectly fit in my case.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm going to turn it now into a little bit of a round robin here and get some questions for all three of you in common. And I'm going to pick up on that and just say, Doryu, can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be a Buddhist living in Rome?
I remember the first time I came here to Bloomington, to San Shinji, there was a guy who told me, wow, you are a Buddhist in Rome. And what the Pope says about it. And I answer him back joking and say, unless we are quiet and the Swiss Guard Patrol doesn't catch us, it's okay. Being Buddhist in Rome is beautiful because Rome is a big city, is kind of open city there are a lot of culture and religions mixing, and in Italy Buddhism is kind of well regarded as maybe most Italian they have an issue with Islam more. We Buddhists are more regarded like a very peaceful and sometimes very kind of silly people, stupid people, but it's good like this. I love Rome. It's a beautiful town, and it's a very chaotic town, and I love chaos.
As we know.
And our temple, Anshin, is in one side of the temple there is a very chaotic and big road with a lot of cars going on and horns and sirens. And the other side there is a beautiful garden with the birds singing, and the sound of the pond. And that is fit perfectly my condition. From one ear, I hear the chips of the birds, the peas, and on the other side, I hear the brush and the cows. And I think that my practice is to find the perfect balance about it. So
it's called earplugs.